Cyclone MMA. The year of 2020 is almost over. Thank God. It's been an awful year for a lot of people, but like in terms of fight fans, it's been okay. It's been not too bad. You know, the UFC kept rolling when other sports completely shut down. So I'm going to give you guys my top 5 UFC events of 2020. And these aren't in order from worst to best. It's more of just chronological order. I give you my personal top 5, and I give you a few honorable mentions as well. And without further ado, let's get into the list. First off, we have UFC 249 that happened on May 9th. This was just a stacked card, a top-tier card, no matter what year it is. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje, Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz, Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, among some of the fights that happened on this night. This is the card where you had all the controversy with Khabib not being able to fight. You know, you had Tony versus Khabib being canceled once again. Justin Gaethje decides to fight Tony Ferguson on very short notice. Tony Ferguson had cut weight twice for this fight. And at the end of the night, when Gaethje finished Ferguson, a lot of people thought that Gaethje would be the one to finally dethrone Khabib. That didn't end up happening. There was also some controversy with the Cruz versus Cejudo fight, where Dominic Cruz felt that the fight was stopped too early. He also complained about the referee, saying he smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. The Ngannou-Rozenstruik fight did not last very long, and it just kind of reminded us how crazy powerful Francis Ngannou is. He swung and missed like 70 million times, but he clipped Rozenstruik on the forehead, got him down, and just finished the dude. It was absolutely lethal. On the prelims, Anthony Pettis fought Cowboy Cerrone. This was actually the second time they fight, and Anthony Pettis would once again beat Cerrone, this time in a much more even, close fight. I personally had Cowboy winning, but it was a close enough fight that I could understand Pettis taking the victory. But both guys brought it. It was a fun fight to watch, and, you know, no one got finished. It wasn't sad seeing one of the older fighters, you know, get outclassed. Vicente Luque and Nico Price also put on a barn burner fight during this card, and it ended with a Vicente Luque KO of Nico Price. Also, you had Jeremy Stevens missing weight by quite a bit, and Calvin Kattar would get the finish with an elbow from hell. Kattar certainly put the 145 division on notice with this performance. Moving through the year, we get to July 11th, and this is when UFC 251 happened on Fight Island. I'm going to admit it, Masvidal versus Usman wasn't the tastiest fight, but when you look at the appetizers, you can really enjoy this full meal. What a weird analogy. The co-main event, we had Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. Another great fight between those two guys, seeing Volkanovski win a decision. I love you, Max. We also saw Petr Yan become a champion of the 135 division over Jose Aldo. Rose Namajunas avenged her loss against Jessica Andrade and won a close decision. Amanda Ribas won her fight against Paige Van Sant and proved to be the cutest human being of all time. Yuri Prohaska also introduced himself into the UFC with a vicious KO over Volkan Oezdemir. UFC 253 happened on September 26th, and this was a really solid card. We had 2 belts on the line here. We had Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, where Israel Adesanya put on a performance of a lifetime. Just a really dominant performance with a championship belt on the line. And then he also humped Paulo Costa after, so you got that going for it. The co-main event saw Jan Blachowicz versus Dominic Reyes, a fight that a lot of people thought that Dominic Reyes would win after his performance against John Jones. Jan Blachowicz would get the knockout win, being the second Polish champion in UFC history. Also on this fight, you had Brandon Royval submitting Kai Kara France, who put on a really fun fight, seeing both guys get dropped multiple times, and Royval would come away with the victory for that one. On October 24th, UFC 254 happened, and this is a very historic event in UFC history because it saw the retirement of Khabib Nurmagomedov after defeating Justin Gaethje by submitting him in the second round. He announced his retirement, saying that he didn't want to keep fighting. His mother didn't think that it was good for him to keep competing with the death of his father, you know, looming in the back of his brain. But just an absolute dominant win for Khabib, and really just a showcasing of why he should be in the argument for one of the best MMA fighters of all time. Robert Whittaker fought the scary Jared Cannonier with all that power. You know, Jared Cannonier's a guy who fought at heavyweight at one point in time. A lot of people had him beating Whittaker, but Whittaker just put on a great performance and just outclassed the dude. But the heart of Cannonier was on full display here as he took a lot of Whittaker's shots and kept coming and even had him rocked in the third round. Alexander Volkov finished Walt Harris with a front kick to the stomach. Phil Hawes got a super quick 18-second knockout. Lauren Murphy proved that she's not too old to fight and submits Shakarova. And Ankalaev versus Kutalaba 2 happens, and the results are the same. Ankalaev is the better fighter. The final segment on my top 5 UFC events of 2020 is Jessica Eye versus Cynthia Calvillo. Just a stacked card. The final event on this list is UFC 256 that happened on December 12th. And if you bought this pay-per-view and decided afterwards that you wasted your money, then you shouldn't be an MMA fan because there's nothing here for you. Oh my God, flyweights are so boring. No, Figueiredo versus Moreno put on an absolute war that ended in a draw that no one was upset about because we want to see this happen again. Charles Oliveira proves that he's an elite MMA fighter by submitting Tony Ferguson, and stop saying that Tony Ferguson needs to retire. The dude's on a 2-fight losing streak after winning 12 fights in a row, and he's fighting elite talent, people. Stop. Mackenzie Dern shows off the striking she's been working on with Jason Perillo, and she gets a win. Kevin Holland had a crazy knockout of Jacare Souza and was able to knock him out from his back. And we have Cyril Gane, who joins the top 10 list for heavyweights in the UFC. Now, there are a lot of cards that I missed, a lot of cards that I didn't think quite were top 5 material. So you can go ahead and cry and dislike this video and comment that down below what you think. But I'm going to let you know what the ones I missed are that I really enjoyed. We had Hooker versus Poirier, Whittaker versus Till, Hall versus Silva, UFC 246, UFC 250, UFC 247, Covington versus Woodley, UFC 248, UFC 252, and possibly Thompson versus Neal. If I'm being completely honest, I recorded this video before Thompson and Neal fought and before that event even happened. So maybe that card turned out to be super awesome and would make the top 5. I hope not for the sake of this video, but it'd be cool if it did. Alright guys, let me know your top 5 UFC events of 2020 in the comment section below, and I will see you all next time. Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Amanda. Duh. Next we got Artem Lobov. We're going to stick him right up at S tier. Just kidding.